The latest Texas Senate primary numbers, and this race is tighter than most people expected. On the Democratic side, Jasmine Crockett and James Talerico are locked in a near tie. On the Republican side, Ken Paxton, John Cornyn, and Wesley Hunt are battling for control of the GOP lane. And when you look at the head-to-head matchups, some of these margins are razor thin. So the big question is Texas safely red, or is this race more competitive than it looks? Let's break it down. Let's start with the Democrats. In the Democratic primary, Jasmine Crockett is leading with 42%, but not by much. Right behind her is James Talerico at 40.7%. That's a margin of just over 1 point. This is not a runaway race. This is a battle. Meanwhile, Emily Morgul and Michael Swanson remain in the low single digits, showing that the real Democratic contest is a two-candidate fight. Now let's move to the Republicans. Here's where things get interesting. Ken Paxton leads the GOP primary at 29.3%, but longtime Senator John Cornyn is right behind at 26.8%, and Congressman Wesley Hunt is still very much in the race at 20.6%. Three serious contenders, no clear frontrunner. This Republican primary could go into a runoff scenario. Now let's talk head-to-head matchups, because this is where general election math starts to matter. If it's Paxton versus Cornyn inside the GOP, Paxton leads 45.2% to 39.7%. If it's Hunt versus Cornyn, Hunt leads 42% to 38.1%. And in a Paxton versus Hunt matchup, Paxton holds a 43.4% to 39.3% edge. So right now, Paxton appears strongest within the Republican base. But what about the general election? If Jasmine Crockett faces John Cornyn, Cornyn leads 47.4% to 43.3%. Against Wesley Hunt, Hunt leads 47.5% to 42.4%. Against Ken Paxton, Paxton leads 46.3% to 43.7%. Notice something important. Every Republican candidate is currently leading Crockett, but the margins are within striking distance. Now let's look at James Talerico's numbers. Against Cornyn, Talerico trails 45.8% to 42.6%. Against Hunt, he trails 46.8% to 42.2%. Against Paxton, that's the closest matchup yet, 45.8% to 44.2%. That is inside the margin where campaign strategy, turnout, and independent voters could flip the race. Texas is shaping up to be one of the most closely watched Senate battlegrounds of this cycle. The Democratic primary is nearly tied, the Republican primary is divided, and the general election matchups are closer than many expected. Momentum can shift, turnout can change everything, and in a state as big as Texas, strategy matters. If you want real polling breakdowns, no-spin analysis, and electoral math that actually makes sense, you're in the right place. Subscribe to Election Blueprint. Like this video. Comment below. Who wins Texas?